country's couch potato culture is creating a lost generation of obese and physically inactive teenagers. That's according to councils who are calling on the government to hand them the money to fund local sport directly. So instead of it going through Sport England, which currently sort of controls that funding. Let's go to Stoke Park in Buckinghamshire and former county cricketer turned sports psychologist Stephen Sylvester. Morning to you, Stephen. We know since the Olympics the number of young people participating in weekly sport has dropped by almost 500,000. What's going wrong?
Well, we have a major conflict in society. We've got, on the one hand, rising obesity levels with young people, while on the other hand, sport isn't motivating young people.
So how do we get sport to motivate young people?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. We need a complete change of culture and of values. We need to sort of move away from the win-at-all-cost culture that we live in and try and get young people engaging, having fun, smiling more, and loving participating in sport.
There's lots of talk about the money side of this and councils wanting to get their hands on more money to do this, but what about parents?
Yeah, I think every adult is a stakeholder in this. There are young people out there that are doing the wrong things, that are not active, that are not involved with sport, but they're discouraged because each sport is structured in a way where only the elite are really looked after and the participation levels for young people aren't encouraged. So we need a complete change of systems where parents, coaches, stakeholders, governments, churches, whoever, all need to be involved and try to improve the whole win-at-all-cost culture that we live in. It's kind of ironic that I work with the highest performers in the country, and actually those individuals are more interested in having fun and getting the best out of their sport in order to become the best in the world than they are to try and push for doing the best that they can.
Have we got a problem with sport per se, and the idea that we sort of draw a line between being sporty and just being active? After when I was at school, I hated sport.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated it. I'm not against being active and getting out and walking and fell walking where I came from and all that sort of thing, but sport as an idea I had a real problem with.
Yeah, and that's where I think we need a value change, because if we do sport where we can actually use it to facilitate social interaction, feeling good about ourselves, feeling competent, we need to address that. And you can only do that through participation, by encouraging the fun element of sport. And I think that's what we've lost. And that's a culture change. That isn't necessarily about money. That's about communities understanding that it's about winning for your community, being out there, engaging with other people, playing your sport for the pure joy and the pure fun of it. And I think what's happened is we've as money's increasingly become tight, children have been left to their own devices and not organised with their sport, and that becomes a major issue. We need to completely recalibrate the way we do things so that young people feel inspired by coaches and parents, and not the pushy parent that gets the top player to perform, whilst the young player that's not pushed by the parents just sits and becomes that couch potato that you talked about.
Stephen, it's Gillian in the studio. Do you think that sport should be a daily occurrence in school, that children should be playing some sort of sport every day, even if they don't want to?
Yeah, I think we need sort of some sort of pastoral care element of schools where young people are encouraged to play sport, because sport's really just the focus, but it's the self-esteem ability of sport to raise a child's enthusiasm and sort of personal endeavour, their inner sort of belief that they can get something from sport, because we need people, we need community, we need interaction, and sport is a good way of facilitating that. So I applaud everybody to get together and think about it, because we almost have a moral and cultural obligation to get people moving and use sport as a way of creating greater harmony with young people, so they feel inspired, because they have to choose to either play sport or not. And if they're discouraged because it's very competitive, they then move away from it, and then they just haven't got the inspiration to do something different. So what we need is a readdress of the complete desire to do sport for a greater purpose, just beyond the individual, but think about the participation so that friendships are born, they can get a long life time in the sport, whether they're performers or administrators or coaches, and they take some enjoyment out of being involved in a community where sport is seen as just the byproduct of their involvement.
Stephen, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Yeah,
All
lovely to
about
talk to you.
fun. That's what you think. At Sky Stephen, at Sky Gillian this morning.